Right.
Now,
Might go without the speakers.
can we see?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so the agenda for this evening is a warm welcome and an introduction of the board by Owen, the president. Myself, James, then going to run through the provisional list of events for the year. Some boxes still to be filled in. Liz is then going to spend a bit of time talking about coaching circles and groups that we can facilitate and organize around the country. And then last but not least, we have an overview of credentialing from Alicia. So over to you, Owen.
Cheers, James. So just a big welcome to those of you who've come to tonight's webinar, and I suppose for the benefit more of those who will be listening later, because I know those of you who are here on the call will know the board, but I'll run through the board anyway, seeing as that's the only thing I have to do tonight, so I'm going to probably just miss off after that. But anyway, so we have the Vice President, who's not here tonight, is Ailish McKeown, and Ailish is new to the board this year, and she is ACC, she's accredited, and she is, I think she's trained with coaching development as far as I know. And membership and development is Liz Barn. And I think most of you know Liz, who also been around. And this is Liz's second year on the board. When I say being around, I mean like she's been on her second year.
We know that.
Thanks, Owen.
And then there's Alicia Darla Pihat, who I got dire warnings earlier to make sure I pronounced her name correctly. So I practiced.
Well done.
And Alicia is the communications director, and again, second year on the board, and has been like this, just around and doing her work very well. And then James, new to the board, asked to come on the board because we had a gap in the fence, and James happily filled it and is the events director for this year. And we are actively seeking a finance director who the original person had to step down for personal reasons, so we have that vacant slot. If any of you feel inspired to volunteer yourselves, feel free to do so. No
Bit of
pressure
noise
or
there in the background.
So that's there. And tonight's webinar is really an introduction to, I suppose, the year ahead to some degree in terms of what you can expect and what we hope for the year ahead. As well as Liz is going to talk a bit about the whole thing on the coaching groups, which is something that we're pushing quite strongly this year, and we see it as something that adds a lot of value quite easily and quite quickly. And then Alicia will bring us through a sort of a summary of the whole field of credentialing. So that's the intro, and I'm going to hand it over to, I think it's Liz that's up first.
James,
of course it's James.
Yes. James, you're going to talk about events next, aren't you?
I am. Thanks very much. Okay, so the board for this year met for the first time some weeks ago, and we started building a picture of possibilities for the year, which kicks off with tonight, which you won't see on this list because we're actually there, but you're all very welcome, and we look forward to participation across the year. Liz has been in touch with a lady called Monica Ross, who is keen to talk to us about building resilience next month. Of course, we will try and pin down exact dates and times for these throughout the year. But that's yet to be shaped, and you'll be informed of that later on. April will see a session on business development. So following study and qualification and experience, it's often very important for us to get some insight into actually starting a business, which can be seen as a very distinct set of skills and something which some people may have some trepidation over. So sharing experience there is very valuable, and we're looking forward to getting an experienced coach to walk us through tips and tricks and advice on the steps towards building your business. In May, where we also see the International Coaching Week, where we hope to certainly build some events around that, and all ideas are very, very welcome. We'll also have a webinar, a deeper dive into the area of the credentialing around the competencies, which obviously are very important to know inside out, and also a bit of discussion, maybe deeper than tonight, on the coach knowledge assessment, the online multiple choice examination, which needs to be undertaken. So look forward certainly to getting a couple of things into International Coaching Week. And then June, we're hoping to approach the Association of Coaches and the EMCC in Ireland to see if we can put together a joint event, which I believe has happened before. Be very good for networking and gathering with the other groups to share and network and enjoy an interesting event. The high summer months are blank for the moment. We might slot something in one of those, but I'd say August is probably a write-off for most people. And then into September, we have Niall Gogarty of the HSE, who has been invited by Eilish, our Vice President, to talk about building coaching culture in companies and organizations, something which is very, very close to my heart. And that will be very interesting to talk about how coaching can be introduced and grow in companies, whether public or private sector. October, we have down for neuroscience in coaching and emotional intelligence. Liz has a lead for getting an associate in for that, so that would be good to pin down. And then, grand finale time, we have the 19th of November down, Saturday the 19th of November, for our annual general meeting and awards gala in Clontarf Castle Hotel in a leafy suburb of Dublin. Very, very nice establishment. Oh, I'm sure will do us very proud. So really looking forward to that, and we want to encourage as many people as possible to come and celebrate with us. And then predictably, December is clear unless we feel the need that something maybe in early December might be worthwhile. But what I'm really looking forward to is us building up a good head of steam around participation and membership this year, so that there's a great interest and a draw, and that we can attract as many people as possible to join us in our events.
Yeah.
Any questions on that summary?
That's quite
Okay,
clear.
well, sorry?
Quite clear.
Great stuff. Excellent. Well, again, look forward to your participation. Okay, moving along. I'd like to invite Liz to talk through her piece.
Okay, so it won't take very long, as Owen mentioned earlier on, and as a lot of you will have seen from the email that went out yesterday. We feel that in addition to the sort of rather, I suppose, central events like you know, the kind of International Coaching Week and the gala and awards and all of those kind of bigger events, and the events that people might attend in person, and as well as our webinar series, that there's been a lot of demand from members to find ways to kind of connect with each other and, you know, I suppose have access to face-to-face contact in their own local area. So we've had a great response in just literally in the last half day. Lots of people are interested in starting coaching circles. So what are they? I suppose we feel that coaching circles or groups is a way to obviously develop the community in Ireland beyond just sort of, you know, kind of events that are city based or kind of Dublin oriented, we'll say. We also want to make sure that ICF members can kind of connect with each other for mutual support, and obviously focused on professional development as well. And you know, again, a lot of people would like to be involved and are willing to help out and get involved in ICF. They may not necessarily want to get involved at board level, or maybe they previously were involved, but people are still interested in finding ways to help out. And this way hopefully gives them some local initiatives that they can run that are not, you know, too big and complex, and so on. So these organizations are already running, some of them are closed groups in the sense that they've been up and running for a while, so there's a very established kind of group of people connected with them. But there's a group, Mariana Wright runs a group in Donegal, which I think has 6 or 7 people as members of it, and it's very well established. There's a group in Cork that Monica Ross is a member of as well. But the whole point about this is that, you know, newer groups can obviously be established at any point with people who kind of have a lot in common and so on, and want to get together. So, you know, we've found that there's probably an optimum size, and, you know, each individual group can decide if you want to be open and whether you only want ICF members, or maybe you'd make it open to other members or non-members even, because we also feel it would be a great way to kind of encourage people to join ICF and think about things like credentialing and so on. But the key thing is that, you know, it shouldn't have to be all falling on one person. The principle might be that, you know, maybe one person organises the first few meetings, and that after that they might be shared or rotated. So as I said, you know, we plan to give some guidelines and support to any group that wants to get established. But it's really, I guess, going to be down to each group to decide, well, what's their main focus and all of that. But I suppose in terms of, if you want to go on to the next slide, James.
Sure.
The kind of content that the groups might cover would be things like typically coaching triads or co-coaching, where people can practice and brush up on their coaching skills and get some feedback on that. We've had groups who have opted to have group supervision sessions, so peer supervision or group facilitated supervision sessions. You may also find that some of the topics, if groups bring in an external speaker, that they can actually get continuing education units, which will count towards your credential renewal. So for anyone who's you know, needs to renew their credential in the next 3 years, you need to have 40 CCEUs covered over the 3 years. So if you've attended a number of events, or one event that covers all of that, or a couple of events, then it means you've done your professional development that you need to do. And the main areas that will be eligible, and there's obviously more detail on this on the Coach Federation website, but ethics in coaching, contracting and all of that, resource development for coaches, so whether it's personal development, business development, particular, you know, coaching assessments, that type of thing, and then focusing on the core competency areas tied in with the ICF core competencies. So, you know, depending on what the group is interested in, obviously all of those could be relevant learning opportunities for members. And then obviously people might want to bring in people on related topics like neuroscience or coaching psychology, or whatever, you know, whatever's of interest to the group. And the one thing we thought was that, I mean, because there's been such a great level of interest, we were kind of thinking that, well, actually, given the coaching week is happening, International Coaching Week is happening in the 16th to 22nd of May, that we could actually encourage the groups to get involved. And perhaps, you know, the whole purpose of Coaching Week is to raise the profile of coaching as a profession and as a, I guess, a means for which people can actually improve their lives and improve their work and all of that. So what we're suggesting is that perhaps even coaching circles or coaching groups could take their activities to the public. So last year, for instance, we had people who were organising coaching walks, where they were meeting up with a group of people in a park in Cork, and they were just, you know, each taking a client and doing a 20-minute walk around the park and you know, working on a coaching topic. So, you know, I guess the whole focus of Coaching Week is kind of from us as the coaching profession out to the wider world. So it's a great way to get people engaged with coaching, you know. And then just on to the next slide, James, just to give people a very quick, but this was taken earlier today, so it might be a little bit detailed, but it was really just to, I suppose, indicate, you know, people's interest level in coaching circles or groups. So we had about 40 responses. This was taken when we had about 32. You know, we have a good chunk, a quarter of the people essentially who responded are willing to organise something, which is great. And I think at last look, we had people who were sort of, you know, scattered in the various sort of locations around Dublin, and then probably each of the other kind of regional areas has at least one person who's interested in organising something, which is great. So we're really going to try and give as much support to that as possible, whatever guidance we can give. And the next steps on that are that Monica Ross, who has facilitated her session, will help us with, we'll organise a meeting, an online meeting of everyone who's interested in setting up a group, and you know, just to talk about what's involved and what works and what doesn't work and all that kind of thing, to give people help. So I mean, that's something that hopefully can happen in the next couple of weeks, which would be great. So that's kind of all I had on coaching circles affiliated with ICF. Does anybody have any questions or comments or suggestions about that?
Liz, just in terms of like a cost, if you were covering a fee for renting a room, is that just kind of the plan, that you just cover if there was a cost involved, be a nominal fee?
Well, I think there's a few ways of handling that. One is that, you know, if you were organising a coaching circle, you might find that you might approach a benevolent corporate and just say, look, or you know, even your local GAA club or whatever it is, and just say, look, can you give us a room for, you know, one day a month or whatever. So they might do it for nothing. I mean, you know, we can look at ways. I mean, we were discussing sponsorship before, and we were kind of saying, well, look, if we can secure, and that's a project that we're working on at board level, is to secure sponsorship, that might be an area that we can say, well, look, we can provide some contribution to room hire. Equally, you know, you could say, well, if you have 20 people and a room costs €100 or whatever it is, that you just simply divide the cost. But look, I think the other groups have found ways around those kinds of things. So, you know, obviously it's great if you can have a kind of a consistent location, but I think each group will probably find the way that works for them in terms of setup, you know.
Very good.
Thanks, Siobhan.
Is there one set up in Dublin already?
We had one started up, but the problem was, Orla, that it actually got too big.
Good problem.
Yeah, and so I think now sort of, I know there's a group on the north side that meet, so Niamh Donal is the contact for that. So what my plan was that when we get all of the feedback from everybody, that we can actually share the list of the people who want to coordinate groups, and then, you know, they can contact all of the interested members themselves and invite them to meetings or whatever.
And each group would be autonomous with their own decision on what they talk about each month, is
Absolutely,
it?
yeah. How does that sound?
Yeah, it's great. I'd like to be in one.
Yeah.
I'd like to be in one sooner rather than later, because
you
need it. You actually need it to keep fresh and keep your ideas going, and also just for the support and the fun. It's good fun. Like, I mean, I enjoyed the training, the fun that we had with it. And it's not a big commitment. It just needs to be done, you know. I don't mind setting one up either. I mean, that doesn't bother me either. But if it's so big already,
we've basically kind of I think that's the answer. I think is to set up some new ones. So that's essentially the decision we took. We said, look, you know, let's see what comes back from the survey. So Orla, I don't know if you actually had completed that survey that was sent out in the last couple of days. I didn't check if everyone who hasn't.
Okay. No, I didn't.
So you're on the ICF membership list, are you?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you should have received it. If you didn't receive it, you might just pop me an email at membership@ICF Ireland, and I'll send you on the link to it.
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, so we've had great response to it, which is brilliant, you know.
Yeah. Thank you.
Liz, can I ask a question? Is it different to, I saw a message there on the ICF LinkedIn group about Pamela Flood and the girls doing a supervision group.
Yes.
Similar, different, or is just that their one is their own?
Well, their one is their own, and it's being offered as a, you know, I suppose a service by them because they're qualified supervisors. So I would think that's a particular, you know, it's like joining, I don't know, a course or whatever, you know, that you're paying a fee for it and all the rest of it. This, I think, is more a peer-to-peer, you know, sort of, I suppose, regular meetup, and it could be on any topic, I suppose. If that makes sense. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I just wanted to be sure.
Yeah.
I think they're a great idea, actually. I would be interested in because I think I did it on my phone, Liz, so I don't know if I was pressing the wrong button my answers, but I would be interested in helping start one up, or a co-facilitator, you know, do part of the rotation. And like what you're saying, if there's different ones around the city, there's no point having two out this side and none. So,
absolutely. No, I think just at the last glance, I think there was actually quite a good spread of, I mean, you can even see from the pie chart there on the bottom, like the big yellow chunk on the bottom is Dublin South Side, but there's actually, you know, pretty good kind of dispersion of people in other parts as well, you know. So all you want is even 2 or 3 or 4 people to kind of cluster together, and they'll know more people and invite them anyway. So I think it'll be great. So if anybody has any other questions, obviously you can just drop me a mail at membership@icfireland.org. All right.
Okay.
Thanks, Liz.
Okay.
Okay, thanks, Liz. Very interesting and exciting that there was such a quick and numerous response, even just in a day. And I think many of us would be interested in being involved in circles, certainly, you know, for the reasons that Orla gave. So I'd certainly sign up for one in a convenient location.
Excellent.
There's myself, Sean, and Orla for a start.
Great.
We meet down the road there, Sean.
Well, Clontarf Castle was sounding very good as well.
Yeah.
I've done coaching in the reception, and it's very comfortable and quiet.
Good tip.
Okay, right. Making good time. I'd like to hand over to Alicia for her section.
Thanks, James. So I was given 30 minutes for this, but I hope I'll make it in 10. So first of all, so why I was saying this, because I'm trying to, I've gathered a lot of information. I'm trying to simplify it and make it straightforward for people who are actually thinking of going for it. So first of all, if you can go to the next slide, James.
Sure.
So in terms of benefits, there is a few of them, but in brief, it demonstrates your commitment to certain standards, gives you skills, of course. It assures, I suppose if I always think about it in the way that if I was a client who was looking for a coach without any knowledge about how to choose a coach, I'd probably go by, okay, what credentials does a coach have? And I would go by that. So of course it can and it will impact your revenue, your earnings. And there's actually a really good study by ICF Global in 2012, which is very impressive in terms of the scale of people actually who filled out their survey, which was around 12,000 people in 117 countries, which actually showed that those coaches who had the credentials had better earnings potential. So where to start? When I think about where to start in terms of getting your credentials, I think about a big cup of coffee or tea to start, just to get you focused. So if we go to the next slide, I will explain the 3 types of credentials that are there. And the first one is ACC, which stands for Associate Certified Coach. And the requirements, so the requirements actually are, in a way, are similar, apart from the number of hours, and then there are recorded sessions for the BCC and MCC. So for ACC, you need to complete a coach knowledge assessment, which is a multiple choice test, which consists of 155 questions, and it is split into 5 sections or domains. You need to have 60 or over 60 hours of the ICF accredited training, plus 100 or over 100 pro bono hours, coaching hours. 75 of them need to be paid, and 25 of them need to be done within the 18 months of the application, and it needs to be done at least with minimum of 8 clients. And the last one is 10 hours of mentor coaching. And if I remember this correct, guys, correct me if I'm wrong, that the mentors need to be ICF certified as well, right? Oh, do you know?
Say that again. You broke up. Say it again.
So when we go for mentor coaching, the mentors need to be ICF certified as well.
Oh yeah, yeah. So if you absolutely, so if you're the mentor coach needs to be at the very least a credential level higher than you. So as well as being recognized as a mentor coach by ICF,
Yeah,
right.
they have to be a registered mentor coach with ICF. And the other thing is that 7 of those hours can be done in a group session. So if coaching circles or if groups of people want to get together to get a mentor coach in to work with them, they can do 7 of those hours together. So again, we're hoping to encourage mentor coaches to offer us, tell us if they're running group sessions, because it's more cost effective for somebody to attend at least some of those 7 hours as a group.
Yeah, right. Okay, so the next one is the BCC, which is Professional Certified Coach, and the difference here is that you need 125 hours plus hours of the training, 500 hours of coaching, 50 of them within the 18 months of the application, minimum 25 clients, so the same 10 hours mentor coaching. And an additional thing, which is 2 recorded coaching sessions with written transcripts. And finally, the Master Certified Coach, or MCC, which at the moment there are only 2 in Ireland. It's Jerry Ryan and Emer Doyle, just recently, right? Yeah. And for this, you need 200 hours of training, 2,500 hours of coaching, minimum 35 clients, again the same 10 hours mentor coaching, and again the same like BCC, 2 recorded coaching sessions with written transcripts. So if we go to the next slide, please. I'll just go over some terminology that, if you're not familiar with, it's good to know it. So the first one is ACTP, which stands for Accredited Coach Training Program. So which is a start to finish coach training program to PCC that includes mentor coaching, observed coaching sessions, and final exam, and graduate. So basically what that means is that if that's the training program that you went through, when you go to apply for your ACC or whatever it is you're applying for, you need to click on apply via ACTP path. So that's the difference. So ACTP path or ACSTH path. And ACSTH stands for Approved Coach Specific Training Hours. So that's approved on hour-by-hour basis, and students completing hours of an ACS. So basically, in simple words, when you go to apply, there will be 2 options, ACTP or ACSTH, okay? And finally, CCEUs, I'm sure you're all familiar with this. If not, that stands for Continuing Coach Education Units. So basically, it's points that you get for continuous education that you do, and you need to particularly keep an eye on that. No, that's okay. So you need to be aware of that when you will be renewing your credentials, because they're valid for 3 years. So when you'll be going to renew them, you will be asked to prove that you've done your continuous education or development, and that will so you can prove it by the CCU points that you get for the courses or workshops that you attend that are ICF approved, of course. And next slide, please. So, how to apply? So it is, and it's not straightforward. It is straightforward if you know how to navigate the global website. So you just Google International Coaching Federation, which will bring up straight away the global website, which is run from the US. And then you go to apply for your ACC, and you will be able to download the sample form, which is a form where you will put the names and the names of your clients and the dates when you coach them. So basically, in other words, it's a log form for your coaching hours. Then you go to pay, if I remember that correctly. So you take the form, you pay, and then after you submit the payment with the form, you receive the link with the test, right, Owen?
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
Right. And I'm not sure at what point you have to have the name of the mentor and certificate. Is that before or after? Probably before.
Before. When you're filling in the application, that's part of the details they look for.
Right, okay. Okay, so all the documentation before the test, and the test is the final step, right?
Exactly, yeah.
Okay. Next slide, please. So, okay, as I mentioned, the template for logging your hours is on the global website. If you have difficulties in finding it, please let us know, or let me know. I'll be happy to help. Oh yes, so clients, I'm not sure how they do it, but they might contact your clients to check whether you really coach them. I don't know, Owen, if you're aware.
You supply them with a contact email for each of your clients, and they'll randomly contact a set number of your clients to verify that you coach them and that you coach them for the number of sessions that you say you coach them for. So the information you're providing is the name of the client, the contact details being their email address, and the number of sessions that you had with them. So that's pretty much it. And whether it was one-to-one or part of a group, and they'll randomly contact the people off the list that you supply to verify.
Right. Okay. And for those who are coaching, who are doing group coaching, so if you're coaching a group of several people, let's say 9, 10, 15, and so on, it will be counted as 1 hour of coaching or whatever. Or it doesn't matter if it's 2 hours, then it's 2 hours. But it's not. They don't count basically by the number of people in the group. It's counted as well. And next slide, please.
Alicia, just to add on that one, just to add on that point, that anyone who's an in-house coach who isn't, I suppose, as such getting paid for sessions, they're if it's done in agreement as part of their job, or they have like evidence from their manager or whatever that basically it is part of what they do at work, then that's considered to be the same as paid hours, if that makes sense. So yeah, it's just to say that it's not if you're doing it in the course of your job, basically, if it's formal coaching and they're not people who report to you, they can also be counted on the log as paid.
I was going to cover that later.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay. So yeah, so on the log form, you would need to put obviously the name, the surname, the email address, start and end date when you coach them, and number of hours, like Owen already mentioned. And next slide, please. So the coach knowledge assessment is, as I already said, it's a multiple choice test. There are 155 questions split in 5 sections, and it's taken. You need to take it in one sitting, so you can't take breaks between sections or questions and so on. So I don't know if there is a limited time for it. Or is it 2 hours?
Yeah,
or?
it's I think it's 3 hours, but I from memory I can't. I don't hold me to that, but I have a sense it's 3 hours. But you don't need you won't need the full time unless you just wouldn't. I mean, unless you're doing it in the pub and you're having a few pints.
How did you do it?
Is there any? Can you study it beforehand? Is there anything to study from?
Oh yeah, well I mean you can literally have the notes and the content sitting in front of you, obviously. So that's not a problem, Orla. There's it's an open book type thing in that sense. But the questions many of the questions are very subtle in the way they approach the content. So some of them can be kind of open to interpretation. So having the stuff in front of you isn't necessarily going to. It's not necessarily black and white. But it's not rocket science either. I mean, you should be fine. I think to my mind, that exam is the smallest hurdle to get over. To me, the biggest hurdle was just gathering all the bloody information and getting it.
Okay.
Sitting down doing an exam wasn't a big deal.
Okay. Can you be adding things? Like I'm pretty much at this point myself. I probably have the 60 hours now, so I should be doing the exam. Can you just be gradually adding your numbers in, doing the exam, and just gradually having a file there, or is it all?
You can't do the exam until you apply.
Pardon?
You can't do the exam until you've applied for ACC or whatever level you're going for, right? So that exam isn't available to be done at any time. It's done once, but it can only be done when you initiate the process of seeking accreditation.
Okay, so basically you'd have your mentorship finished as well, your 10 hours.
Yeah, you need to have everything ready to go. Otherwise, don't. You're only wasting your time and your money.
Yeah, so the exam's kind of the last thing. Everything else ready.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
And the other thing, Orla, just to clarify that, the 60 hours is for the coach training course that you would have attended. The ACC is 100+ hours of coaching. But it's a good idea to build up that log and make sure you get consent from people and all that, which I'm sure Alicia will talk about.
Yeah. Okay, great, thanks.
Okay, and can we go to the next slide, please?
Sure.
So Liz already covered, for those who work as a coach in the organization and coaching done as part of their employment, so that qualifies as well for the pro bono hours for the credentials, but it must be part of your job description. Or if it's not, I don't know, Lisa, if you mentioned this already. If it's not part of the job description, then I think they confirmed last year that you can ask your training department or learning and development to write a letter confirming that that's what that's part of what you're doing, let's say.
Yeah, I think it can be any manager in your organization that just confirms.
All right,
I mean, it makes sense, so because a lot of people wouldn't have it necessarily listed as part of their formal job description. Lots of people don't even have a formal job description. So if it's in their objectives or it's formally stated somewhere, or somebody's prepared to say yes, this is part of what they spend their time doing, and as you say, they're not coaching people who are direct reports, then that counts as paid hours.
Yeah, that's it, exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, and the next slide, please. So once you get your credentials, they're valid for 3 years, and after 3 years you need to go through the renewal process. For that, as I already mentioned, is you need to have 40 CCU, so 40 points for your ongoing education. And ICF Ireland events would typically have CCU, so they would be CCU approved. And not only events that we organize, but also some of the events, or probably most of the events that we will advertise on our website, they would be ICF CCU type of events. So just keep an eye on the website, and usually we will post it there and we'll say how many PU points you will get for attending the event. Yeah, so also there is a possibility to get your CCUs through the self-study and virtual education, although I'm not sure, Liz, maybe you know more about this, how it works, if that's self-study or virtual education that ICF Global offers, or it can be some other stuff. I'm not sure about this actually.
I'm not too sure, but I imagine they'd still be online approved courses. So,
right.
you know, if somebody wants to look at that, there's plenty of information on the Coach Federation website. But if somebody wants some help with that, they can contact me membership.
Certainly, some of it is directly provided by Global. Like they have a webinar, a free webinar that you can access on the Global website on the ethics.
Yeah.
It's dedicated to ethics, and that counts as CCEUs if you when you download and watch that. So, but you can submit other material and content that isn't Global connected, and once you can make the connection to competencies, that's all that really matters. Or other type, or some kind of professional development. If it's not competencies, it's some other kind of professional development.
Yeah, great.
Okay, and next slide, please.
Oops, sorry.
Oh, not yet. Oh yeah, okay. So for the renewal, you would also need 10 hours more of mentor coaching.
Okay.
And this is just to give you an idea of how coach knowledge assessment question might look. So you can try to answer it actually here. So every coaching
put everybody on the spot.
Let's check if Owen knows it. Every coaching conversation should include an action plan and agenda identified by client, review of field work, a summary by the coach of the client progress. I mean, this is very straightforward, but I don't know if that's the type of questions you got, Owen.
Yeah, that's a pretty simple one, but it's not a million miles away from what you can expect because. Yeah, I mean it's obvious. Well, I presume everyone would see that B is the answer to that. But it's.
Well, we have to say that now, don't we?
Yeah, we do.
No, definitely.
I suppose that the point is, in some of the questions, you could argue for example, D or A. I'm not saying in this particular example you would, but some of the potential answers might be a bit grey in terms of you could lean in that direction, and that's what can be tricky about it. But anyway, I'm kind of talking out of context really because we're not looking at anything specific. But that is what you can expect in terms of layout and how they approach it. And it's not, if you're doing any level of coaching and you're familiar with the competencies and read the ethics document and have them sitting in front of you, you should be fine.
And there's probably 65% or something to get through, is it?
Oh, that's a good question. I think it's 70%, but it could be. It's something. I
think it's 70.
Yeah, I think it's 70. Yeah.
Okay, so a bit of room for. Okay, that's not too bad.
Yeah, you're thinking the wrong way about it, Orla. It's you'll be up in the 80s, no problem.
No, it's okay. I remember you did it in the class and you ran through some of the questions with us. It wasn't too bad.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so I think that's it for me, isn't it?
I have a question for Alicia. If that's okay.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, go on. Yeah.
I suppose
we welcome your question, Sean. That's what I meant to say.
This is a good time to go and make coffee or something. I might need a refresh. So picking up on something Owen said when you were replying, that you pick the level you're going to apply for. So you don't necessarily have to apply for ACC first. Would that be correct?
You don't. You can go straight into. You can go in at any level if you have the requirements in place. Yep. You go for whatever you want.
No problem. And the next question is just say you come in at ACC and then you're hoping to go for PCC. Do the requirements? Does the slate get wiped clean? That when you're now going for PCC, you need another 10 mentors. You need another.
It's carried forward. So, for example, the
I'm not sure about mentor hours.
You're not. You think that you're saying the mentor hours are in addition?
I would say so. I think that your coaching hours.
You're adding on to your coaching hours.
Not from scratch. Yeah. But I'm not sure.
I think Alicia's right about the mentor coaching, that because they're saying that to get ACC, if you want to renew ACC, you need another 10 hours of mentor coaching. So in other words, if you've got ACC and then say 2 years later or whenever you want to go to PCC, then, the point is you should have had further mentor coaching in the meantime, I think.
Which would make sense.
Yeah, we can check that out. And the log, I think, as you say, is just a continuation of the log and the CKA that you did at ACC. Once you've done it, you never need to do it again. But if you went straight for PCC, you still need to do the CKA.
It was a more curiosity question than anything else. So, but thank you.
No worries.
And the costs are on the website for it as well. So it's $100, for example, for at ACC level. It's $100 for the ACTP, and then the ACSTH is $300. And if you're going portfolio route, I think it's $500. So that's just for ACC. So it's just to let you know there is a financial investment to it.
There is, because obviously there's the cost, and there's the cost of mentor coaching and so on. So it is. But the thing is, the way I suppose I would look at it is, it isn't just about sort of jumping the hurdles. It's actually that it's useful learning in itself, especially the mentor coaching piece. So, I think that's I guess if there's a way to see it, maybe that's it.
And I hadn't realised I hadn't realised we mentioned that 7 of the 10 mentor coaching hours can be in a group. So I may have heard that last year sometime, Owen, but I'd certainly forgotten that. So that answers a question that Siobhan and I had yesterday about maybe organising group mentor coaching in pursuit of ACC, that I've actually done my 7 group hours, and the remaining 3 need to be one-to-one.
Yeah.
So that was useful.
And also, like, that's what we're saying, that from the board's perspective, that we'll be getting in contact with all of our eligible mentor coaches and saying, just to kind of prompt them to say, look, would you like to offer group mentor coaching? And maybe
certainly.
we'll have enough of a spread of people around the country who might be offering something in the different parts, just to kind of prompt them, because we can't commission individual members to do something, you know what I mean, in terms of to provide mentor coaching, but we can invite them all to offer something, if that makes sense. All right.
Very good. Any more questions here?
No.
Okay, excellent. So I'm just going to spin through here, and remember for next time I need to recall how many bullets there are on the slides. Typical. So, Owen, I'd invite you to wrap up the call.
Okay, I'm wrapping up the call. That's the call wrapped up. Are we all happy with that? So I think overall hopefully you got a feel for what the year ahead is about, and I suppose what our ambitions are for 2016, and we certainly would love to see your involvement in whatever way makes sense. And obviously, if you have ideas or suggestions or things that you feel could be useful or of value to you and your practice, and do let us know and keep in contact with us. I mean, we're here to serve. The board is here to serve the members, so it's about providing value as much as possible, and we want to be doing that with as much awareness and clarity as possible, and that obviously comes from the membership. So, and like we said, we really just scratched it. There is a lot more information on the global website around the credentialing and the streams that are involved. there's quite a degree and a very good exam and a very good sample document of you can as far as I know you can do a short practice test of the CKA online as well. So it's to explore all that on the members website in Global just before you actually engage in the process of application. And if you have any more questions on any of tonight's stuff, just give any of us a shout. There's no problem. And by any of us a shout, I mean basically James, Alicia.
Anyone other than you.
So I think that's all I have to say anyway. And I really appreciate you guys for coming on board and for being with us tonight, and for staying and asking some really interesting questions, obviously apart from Sean, but I think everyone else.
Okay, it was good, very informative. It helped me a lot, so thank you for everyone who put it together. It was good.
Excellent.
Just where I'm at, actually, you've kind of pushed me along, so thanks. It's been good for me.
Great. That's great to hear, Orla.
Okay.
And similarly,
yeah.
thank you to everybody involved. As Orla was saying, I think it is that little push, that little impetus to keep going and put a bit of wind into our sails. But it has been very informative as well. So thank you to all.
Great.
Thanks, Sean.
Thank you.
Okay.
Here's Maya speaking.
Hi.
Sorry. Now I really feel like I need to say something. First of all, thank you, James, for giving me this opportunity, to join the first webinar, as far as I understood, this year. So I really look forward to joining. I think I will probably get into contact with Liz just to find out about membership.
Yeah, that's great, Maya.
Yeah,
your course finishes. When does your course finish?
In May.
Yeah. So when you've completed your
coaching week, in Ireland.
Yeah.
That's
so I mean, unfortunately, they don't offer a student membership. I've asked them about that again. And
I wasn't sure about that.
So we're getting a big fat no. But anyway, there you go. But as soon as you've completed your course, and I'm sure there'll be, events like this that it wouldn't be a problem for you to join in either, So, I mean, if we're running any face-to-face events, they would always be open to non-members anyway. It just might be a slightly higher price or whatever.
all right. Okay, so I need to have more patience in here. Okay, great. Good to know. Thank you.
But even in terms of knowing what you have to log and all of that kind of stuff, that just once you've finished your course and once you start your coaching practice after you've qualified, then it's good to know all this stuff anyway,
Okay. Yeah. Thank you very much.
But do drop me an email and we can add you to the mailing list anyway.
Yeah. I will. Yeah, put that in my diary by all means. Yeah.
Great. Thanks, Maya.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks from me too before you go. Thanks.
Thanks, Siobhan. See you soon.
Okay.
Thanks very much,
Have a nice evening. Bye-bye.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
Bye, everyone.
Thanks.
All the best.
Bye.
Bye all. Thanks, James, for organising.
Not at all.